All right, let's try this again now that I got my laptop up and working. So we looked at number 25. The reason the answer is D, this is a cheap question. Although technically she shouldn't move up, she should move down. The fact that she moved left, if you move up and left, you will still end up doing a nice negative slope. I think this is a dumb, cheap, stupid question. So I'm thinking bad thoughts about it. Number 26, Alex bought 144 bagels for $80. His profit was $75 once he had sold 80 bagels. What equation below represents Alex's profit P? Profit what? So wherever I see the letter P, what's that? As a function of the number sold, what? Okay. Say what? I noticed they gave me some equations there. I'm going to get my calculator out if I haven't already. I think what this is saying is if I take the number of bagels that he sold, which I think I would argue I can stick in for N, then the profit I should end up with is 75. I think in these four equations, if I put an N, if I put a 100 in for the N, type in the right-hand side to my calculator, Brianna, hit equals, then I should get 75, and that's the correct one. So let's quickly plug and chug with our calculators. The first equation says negative 0.05 times 100 plus 80. Oh, that works? Let's double check the other ones just to make sure. 0.05 times 100 minus 80. Nope. 0.75 times 100. Ooh. 1.55 times 100 minus 80. Uh-oh, I got 2 that work out to 75. Now what? Sorry, 3 that work out to 75. Now what? Now I've got to think about this a little bit more. So which one didn't work? B? Now I have to try and figure out which of these is actually a profit graph. Now profit is how much money you make after you break even. How much money would Alex make if he sold nothing? Read the question. Huh? Okay, he spent $80 to begin with. So looking at the remaining equations, which one, if you put 0 in for N, do you get negative 80? Can't be B, we crossed that out because it didn't work, right? D. That's the only one that works for both of the situations that says if you sell nothing, you're out $80. Oh, and if you sell more, you make a profit. In fact, I can even tell you how much he charged per bagel. Looks like he charged $1.55. Can you see where I got that? Okay. Number 27, determine the slope-intercept equation of the line that is parallel to that and passes through that. What can you tell me about two lines that are parallel? Yeah, that's the definition of parallel. What can you tell me about their slopes? Same slope. What if instead of parallel, what if they had said perpendicular? Okay, op flip, negative reciprocal is the fancy schmancy word, if it was perpendicular. Now, what are they asking us to find? The equation of a line. We ask ourselves two questions. What were the two questions?
Do you have the slope?
Do I know the slope?
Yes.
Where? What? How?
2/5.
How did I? Oh, if it's parallel to the line that they gave me, the slope that I'm dealing with must be that. Now, how can they change this? Simi, they could give you this equation in general form, having made it equal to 0. Well, then get the y by itself. They could give you the equation in slope point form, like on your formula. Okay, the slope is still there where the letter m is in front of the bracket. Oh, and if it was perpendicular, we wouldn't use a slope of 2/5. What would we use as our slope? Negative 5/2. So I said to you, I asked myself two questions. The first one is, do I have a point? Do I have a slope? Second one is, do I have a point? Do I?
Yes.
Yeah, now, normally I would have said then let your second point be x comma y, and then put it into the slope formula, and then cross multiply. It's not a headphone, no, it's earrings that I see, right? Whew, worried for a second there, I was going to freak out. But Kira, take a look at the point that they gave me. What's special about that point? What's 0? No. You said it has a 0 in it. Yeah, what? Where?
The x-intercept.
The x-coordinate is 0. Now, huh?
Never mind.
It's not the x-intercept. What is that really?
The x-coordinate.
No, the x-coordinate is 0. What does it mean when x is 0? What point is that? It's a y-intercept. Because how do you find a y-intercept? Let x be 0. Yes, get the y by itself, but the other way was let x be 0. This as a shortcut. I could do this. 2 over 5 equals y minus 5 over x minus 0. But I'm telling you, this is a y-intercept. And I'm telling you, I know the slope. Which of those 4 equations has a y-intercept of positive 5 and a slope of 2 over 5? As a shortcut, you could get there quicker. This will still get you there as well. This works. Shorter. Now, if you're forgetting how we use that right-hand method, we did do a couple already on the previous half of the exam. We said you cross multiply, and then what form do they want it in. But just as by a coincidence, since they gave me 0, 5, that is a y-intercept by definition. How come? Because how do you find a y-intercept when x is 0? Turn the page. The cost to insure jewelry is a fixed amount plus the percentage of the value of the jewelry. It costs $32 to insure $1,000 worth of jewelry, or $44.50 to insure $3,500 worth of jewelry. What is the fixed amount? This is a word opportunity from systems. How can I tell? Because it's a fixed amount plus a percentage. Okay? This is going to be some kind of a word opportunity. I need to find the equation, z, and then solve them. This is a tough one, by the way. I'm looking at this going, really? Ugh. All right. Read to me at the beginning, Ben.
The cost to insure jewelry is a
Is. You know what? I think both of our equations, there's going to be an is, and on the right-hand side is going to be the cost. I could put it on the left-hand side, but I'm telling you, both of the equations are going to be the cost is. Is what?
a fixed amount.
You know what? There's a fixed amount. Some amount always. Keep reading.
Plus
Stop. Keep going.
a percentage of the value of the jewelry.
How do you find a percentage of something? For example, how do you find 30% of 80? This is Math 8, and they're going to expect you to know this. Pardon me? What about 0.30? Times! That's the key. Simi, say that louder with authority in your voice, ringing out in triumph and sure knowledge that you're correct. What do you do to find the percent of a number? You know what? So here's what I think they're saying. In this first situation, the amount is 1,000, and we want to find out what percent we multiplied by, except I don't like writing y 1,000. How would I prefer to write that instead? 1,000y, okay? But Simi, there's the reasoning. We multiply to find a percentage, and we multiply by the total amount, in this case, $1,000. In the second equation, it's going to be 3,500 times y. Here is our system. How can we find this? How can we solve this? By the way, you know what? You got room at the top of the page or above the question. Let's make a little note. We're saying x is the fixed amount. And I think they could have picked an easier, like this is a fairly confusing word problem, by the way. Y, in fact, I would say this isn't a word opportunity. This is a word problem. Y equals the percentage. It is a system. It is two equations. How can I solve this? Yeah. Substitution would work. Get the x by itself. You know what I think though, do Marcus? Look up. I think I can add these and get the x's to cancel, but how? You know what? I'm just going to go like this with my pen or pencil. Negative, 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 add. Or you could make the top all negative. I multiplied everything actually by -1. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yeah? Right? That was the elimination method? And substitution, Marcus, is totally fine, but the fact that I could eliminate basically by not doing any new work, cool, because now when I add, what happens to the x's? They cancel. And then I have 1,000 plus negative 3,500, that's negative 2,500 y equals what? Hello, equals what? Yeah. Negative 12.5. Now what, Jordan? How do I get the y by itself?
Divided by 2.
Yeah, divided by 2,500, negative 2,500. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a decimal. Oh, which actually kind of makes sense, because also Simi pointed out that we change percentages to decimals. I am expecting a decimal answer. Y equals negative 12.5 over 2,500. What do you get?
0.005.
Oh, I forgot the negative, Mr. Dueck. Whoops. 0.5% if they want it as a percent, and this is not what they want, by the way. So we know that y equals 0.005. That's not what they wanted. They wanted x. How can I find x? How can I find x?
Put 0.005 in for y.
Let's go put it, how about into that equation right there? And I'll get x plus 1,000 times 0.005. Apparently that equals 32. I get x plus, what is 1,000 times 0.005?
5.
Oh, really? What plus 5 works out to 32 in your head?
27.
27? Ta-da! I'll be honest, though, Alon, that's tough enough that probably if I was writing this test the first time on my first run-through, I would have just started. So I'll come back to that one later, because this one I had to think about. What's the key word in number 29? What word would I underline? Perpendicular, darn right. And right away I'm thinking flip negative reciprocal. And they have the same x-intercept. The equation of line A is that. Find the y-intercept of line B. Woo! Well, we got line A. What might I do with line A?
Get the y by itself.
Why would I want to get the y by itself? You're right.
Because you want y-intercept.
Don't think I want the y-intercept.
So you can get the slope.
I want the slope of line A, because that's going to tell me if I flip the slope of line B. That's going to be step one. Because, oh, you know why? Even though it says determine the y-intercept of line B, really what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the equation of line B. And to do that, you know what, Amber? I'm going to ask myself 2 questions. Do I know the slope? Not yet, but I can. So if I get the y by itself, I think I'm going to have this. X minus 4 equals negative 2y. And then I would go divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. I think I would have this. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Is that okay? What's the slope of, how about like that? The slope of line A. No, not line A. What's the slope of line B? What's the slope of the line that I want?
2
Over 1 or, yeah, 2. Okay. I asked myself 2 questions. Do I have the slope? I do now. Do I have a point? Well, it gave me another piece of information in the question. What else did it say? Same x-intercept. That's the point that I can use. I need to find the x-intercept of line A. How do I find an x-intercept?
0.
0.
Make y 0.
Put a 0 in for y. So I got room here to find the x, I'll make a little note to find the x-intercept. I'll go back to the typewritten line A, the one with no fractions, because that's easier. It's going to be x plus 0 minus 4 equals 0. Because 2 times 0 in the middle there is just 0. What's the x-intercept? 4 as a point for, boy, that didn't work very well, as a point 4, 0. That's a point on line B. What's the slope of line B? Yep. I'm going to let this be x1, y1. I'll let my generic x, y be x2, y2. And now I find the equation by using the slope formula. We can move down here because we're going to be using our calculator for number 30. I looked at number 30 and it says, which of those has that as a solution? Really, we said, oh, to check if that works, we just quickly plug them into these. So that's going to be all calculator work anyhow. So I'm going to have this. 2 over 1 equals y minus 0 over x minus 4. Yes? By the way, on the top there, what is y minus 0? Because I asked you to. Oh, come on, you only got a few more days of that dumb joke left. Do I have one fraction equals one fraction?
Yes.
Then this is a job for? And this is nice because I'll get y times 1, which is just y, equals 2 bracket x minus 4. I'll get y equals 2x minus 8. And now, boys and girls, what did they want me to find in number 9? They didn't actually want me to find the equation. Alex, what did they want me to find?
The y-intercept of 1.
There is line B. What's the y-intercept? Negative 8. Holy smokes, that was a lot of work for one question. But you'll notice we just moved into a new topic here. Systems. So, okay. Is that all right along? Okay. I mean, I like that question in that, boy, did we tie a bunch of stuff together. That's a tough question. Now, number 30 says, which of the following systems, you could solve all 4 of those. Sam, do they really want you to solve all 4 of those? No, they're asking, do you know how to check a system answer? And we said, all you do is you go to your calculator and you plug in a negative 3 for the x, a 4 for the y, and then see if when you hit equals, the equal signs equal each other. In other words, I'm going to go like this on my calculator. Negative 3 minus 3 times 4. Does that go to syntax. Let's try that again. Negative 3. Let's try that again, Mr. Dueck. Wow. 2 times negative 3 minus 3 times 4. Does that equal 6? Then cross out A. Can't work. What do you notice about A and B, the first equations? Then cross out B, because if it didn't work in A, it ain't going to work in B. By the way, what do you notice about the first 2 equations in C and in D? The top 2 equations? They are also the what? So I know it's going to work in those. I'm not even going to try. The key difference is going to be the second equation in each one. Garrett, that's what I'm going to try. Now, I notice in the second equation, they got the y by itself. Okay, I can do that too. It's going to be 3 times negative 3 minus 13. That's supposed to be y. And Garrett, what's y supposed to be? So apparently when I hit enter, this should be a... Now, if I had time, I might want to double check. So I will actually see if this works. We used a process of elimination. I'm pretty sure it's pretty sure it's D2 times negative 3 plus 3 times 4, 6. 3 times negative 3 plus 13, 4. By the way, could you actually probably do this arithmetic in your head in a pinch if you needed to, and would that be faster? That's honestly what I would do. For Pete's sakes, it's doing math with 3s and 4s. Okay, negatives, but I would probably just do it in my head, Brady, and that's also perfectly valid. So correct answer, D, and like I said, I didn't think we were going to show any work. 31 is nasty. Read 31. Now, this is a word opportunity. No, this is a word problem. Brianna, look at your answers. How many equations are there in each answer? I caught you zoning out, I know. 2. This is a system. You know what? Did we earlier put a little star next to something because we went, holy smokes, come back to it later? I think it was like number 21 or something like that, right? We can do the same thing here. We're going to go over this one Monday. Now, if you want to challenge this weekend, see if you can figure this one and the other one that we skipped. That'd be a good challenge for the weekend.
It's number 20.
Yep. Otherwise, I'll open Monday with these. But isn't this a nice contrast? We go from that one, distant time bracket, to number 32. Which two numbers have the following properties? Their GCF is 12 and their LCM is 72. Is A right? No, they don't. In fact, A doesn't even have a GCF. Its GCF is 1. B, maybe the greatest common factor 12? Yeah. How can we could do a factor tree if we needed to, but I'll just kind of try and remember. I know my times tables. I think 12 is the biggest number that goes into 24 and 36. What about least common multiple? Do they both go into 72?
Yes.
Is that the smallest number they both go into? I think so. I think so. Let's double check. Number C. You know what? C doesn't work because 72 is not least common multiple of 48. 48 doesn't go into 72. D, 72 and 164, or so 864. I'm willing to bet there's a bigger factor that goes into 864. I'm willing to bet that 864 works with like a 24. Yeah, there we go, 24 and a 36. Do you remember how we did it with factor trees, though? It was do a factor tree, and if it was GCF, it had to appear in both. If it was LCM, you had to have at least that many in both. Turn the page. $33 is fairly nasty. Okay. The Polar Company has designed an ice block in the shape of a what?
Cube.
That's important. Underline the word cube. What is a cube?
Square.
Well, no, that square is flat.
3D square.
A three-dimensional square. You know what? Here's a cube, my little dice of fate. Okay? Now, here's what it's saying. It's saying the volume of an ice cube is 15,625. They want to build an ice dispenser, and they want to make sure that the cubes can always fit through the ice dispenser. The way that a cube is the widest is if it tries to fit through something slanty diagonally. That's the biggest width it can take off. What we're talking about is this distance here, from the bottom corner to the top opposite corner. That's the biggest distance. Does that make, that's what it's asking you to find. That's why they drew that picture for you. See it? Can I, a little tiny bit of advice? Put a little dot right there. Seriously. Call that C. Put a little dot right there. Take a guess what we're going to call that.
D.
No, I was going to go J. D. And one more thing. What did you say this shape was? Whoever it is, turn their phone off. What did you say? Cube? What can you tell me about the cube, about the length and the width and the height? They are all the same. What's the volume? Yeah, but what's the volume of this? How can I find out the length of a side if I know that the length and the width and the height are the same and they gave me the volume? Alex? Cube root, not divided by 3, cube root. And people always get those mixed up. I bet you one of the answers here is if you do that, by the way. So I'm going to find the side length. I'll call it L for length because I don't like using S for side. Is going to be the cube root of 15, 6, 25. How long is each side?
25.
By. Is that okay? Now, over to the right, I'm going to draw triangle ABC, a side view. I think it looks like this. There's B, there's A, sorry, there's C, there's A. What are they wanting us to find in this question?
The length of AB.
Let's put an X here. Do I know any other sides in this triangle? What's 25? CB? Or as a proud lower mainland, BC? Where we live? Okay, fine. Do I know the bottom? Do I know CA or AC? I do? What? You're telling me from there to there? You're telling me from here to here? That's 20. Ah. Okay. Don't make that mistake. That's one of the answers that you can pick from, by the way. But I like your idea, Alex, of in our mind connecting those two, because I think I can draw right here a side view triangle of DCA. Where this is the letter C, this is the letter D, and this is the letter A. How long is CD?
25.
I agree, that's 25. How long is DA?
25.
I agree. CA, I've already used X. What would be a good letter to use now? Y, and I think that's that length there. Yes, 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 yes. Suggestions?
Pythagoras.
How many times? He said Pythagoras. How many times? Twice. Right? Pythagoras to get the floor diagonal, and then Pythagoras again to get the room, the, I don't know what you'd call that, top opposite to bottom close diagonal. Okay. 25 squared plus 25 squared equals, so let's go right over here. 25 squared plus 25 squared equals y squared. What does y end up being? He already has, thanks. I get 25 squared plus 25 squared equals 1250. That's y squared. How to get rid of a squared? How to get rid of a cubed? Yeah, don't divide by, right? Good. Just wanted to reinforce that. So I get 35.355. I'll carry a few extra decimals because I'm going to be using this to find something else. Which means this right here is 35.355. And now I can find x squared. X squared is going to be 25 squared plus 35.355 squared. In fact, I'm going to use my answer button, Curtis. I'm going to go that number squared plus 25 squared. I get x squared is 1875. So x is going to be the square root of 1875, which is what?
43.3.
43.3. What's the correct answer? What if they had said B, 43 centimeters? Why would that be wrong? That extra 0.3, it's going to jam. This is one case where you would always have to round up, always. Despite our rounding rules for math, there's also industry. Yeah, you got to round up. So anyways, the closest one I agree is C. Which of the following number lines best represents the placement of x, y, and z, given that x is the 2 times the square root of 5, y is the cube root of 68, and z is the... How would I read that out loud? Fourth root of 2. You know what this is testing? Do you know how to use your calculator? So get them out. As a decimal, get your calculator out, Greg. Sit up. How do you calculate 2 times the square root of 5 as a decimal? No. Type 2 times the square root of 5. They want decimals. We want to find out which one's bigger on a number line. Easiest way, Darian, is going to be, let's go decimals here, because this is the calculator section. If it was non-calc, absolutely, Darian. I would have said that 2 is a root 4. That's actually root 20, absolutely, especially if I want to compare roots with roots with roots. But here, I'm just going to go 2 times square root 5. You know what that is? 4.472. What's the cube root of 68? You need to know how to do this on your calculator. Go find your cube root button. If you don't know how to do this on your calculator, this is your last time to ask, because they won't help you. They're not allowed to help you on the provincial. And in fact, you won't have a math teacher in your room anyways. They won't know how to do it on your calculator. So who needs help finding the cube root button? Cube root of 8 is going to be, of 68 is going to be like 4 point something.
4.082.
4.08. So what's bigger, x or y? X. So D is wrong, because it has the x to the left of it, right? Oh, C is wrong, because it has the x. It has x smaller. In fact, it has x between 3 and 4. Okay. Pardon me? Why is B wrong without... Did you do the math?
Yeah.
You did? Why didn't you need to do the math?
Because you're finding
The fourth root of 2...
and giving you an answer.
The fourth root of 2 is going to be small, because that's saying what times itself times itself times itself times itself equals 2. But you should know how to find the fourth root, so practice this on your calculator. On mine, it's the 4 math button, nth root of 2, and I get 1.89, 1.189, 1.19. This is a way for them, Alex, for the provincial, in one question, to see, hey, do you know how to do cube root and square root and fourth root on your calculator? This is how they could test that in one question. Oh, and then understand what it means putting it on a number line. You okay with that? Turn the page. Chantal made a mistake in her simplification of that. What step contains her first mistake? Now, I would have told you to multiply the -2 in first and then go elevator. They've chosen to go elevator first and then go power to a power. Okay. So I think I'm okay with the first line, yes? Because what does a negative exponent act like? An elevator, so that -2 would move the whole thing to the bottom and become a +2, and the 8 to the 4th would stay where it was. So I got no issues with this. Then I taught you to do this. Use your power to a power rule. When you did the power to a power rule, what did you do with the exponents? Add or multiply? I heard both. Which one? If you went x to the third to the fifth, is that x to the 8th or x to the 15th? That's x to the 15th. Ah, but Tyler, my friend, that is x to the 8th. And you can think about it, because isn't this really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? That's x cubed times x to the 5th. That's why you add. Oh, and isn't this really, if I drew this one out, triple x, triple x, triple x, triple x, triple, 5 of them in a row? 15. So, you should have a 3 squared. I like that. You should have, I like that. You should have, I like that. What's 3 squared? I like that. What's 8 to the 5th squared? Ah! There it is. Step C. By the way, I think we're in the exponents section of the provincial now. Yes? Number 36. Simplify. Okay. I would go power to... any negative exponents? No, because elevator, I like to do it first. Power to a power, power to a power, power to a power, power to a power. I'm going to end up with 25 to the third. X to the what? I know it's got letters. Suck it up. 3a. Because we just said you'd multiply, so you'd go a times 3, which is just 3a. All over 125 to the third, x to the 9th. Numbers first. What is 25 to the third power?
15,625.
What's 125 to the third power? One 1953 125 1953 125. We'll do the letters later. I'll put a little box there to remind me to do the letters, but let's reduce this fraction, because I'm hopeful that as I reduce this fraction, I bet you, Simi, I'll be able to cross out some wrong answers. Yes? What do you think goes into the top and bottom evenly? I guarantee.
5.
In fact, you know what? I think 25. I think 5 is going to work a bunch of times. Try dividing the top and bottom by 25. What do you get? Do you get 625 on the top? Yes? Yes, Jordan?
On the bottom, you get 78,125.
You know what? 25 still works. I can tell because it ends in a 25, right? So divide by 25, divide by 25. Do you get? What do you get on the top? 5 over. What do you get on the bottom?
3,125.
3,125. 5 works. 1 over.
625.
I did 625 divided by 25. We got 25.
Okay. That makes more sense to me. You got that? Yeah, I was pausing. Okay. Divide by 25, divide by 25. We get 625 over. I think 25 works again. You'll still get a 1. What's 3125 divided by 25?
125.
Can't I now tell you what the correct answer has to be? Greg, which one? You nodded. First of all, is it B?
No.
No.
Is it C?
No.
Why? Now, Mr. Dueck, what if I hadn't done the, this is why I always say numbers first, right? What if I hadn't done the numbers first? What if I was trying to do the letter? Where the heck does that x to the 3a minus 9 come from? Well, what do you do when you're dividing and your bases are the same? What do you do with the exponents? You subtract them. Now, I taught you a shortcut. The shortcut was how many on top, how many on the bottom, how many left and where, except that shortcut only works when you're dealing with numbers. How many on top? 3a. How many on the bottom? 9a. No, sorry, 9. How many left and where? 3a minus 9 on the top. A. Yeah, there's no way I'm getting through this whole exam today. We'll continue this on Monday. Number 37, a research assistant calculated the brain mass B of an 8-kilogram cat. Okay. She used the formula, see the equation? Where M is the total mass of the cat. What's M?
The mass of the cat.
What do you measure mass in? Units. You know how I know kilograms? Is there a number that has kilograms after it? See it, see it, see it? I think what they're saying is this. This is what she calculated. 0.01 times 8 to the 2/3. Then it says, in which step did the research assistant first make a mistake? Okay. What did this research assistant do in step 1? Flower power. Did they do the flower power correctly? Did they put the root to the root and the power to the flower? Yeah? I think line 1 is right. What do you see in line 2? What did they do? I see a 16. Where'd that 16 come from? Is 8 squared 16? Ah, Jordan, what did they do instead of squaring? They multiplied, didn't they? Step 2. Algebra tiles. Hey, you got pictures of algebra tiles on your formula sheet. Find them.
Oh, here we go.
Telling you they're there somewhere.
No, no, get one up, right?
Yeah, I know. Find them. Okay, got them, Curtis? Okay. Says, which of the following best represents the expansion of x plus 3 times x plus 1 pictorially? You know what? I think we can even do this algebraically, first of all. What does x plus 3 times x plus 1 work out to be? How do you calculate that?
Foil.
What did you guys make those things in, by the way? Because I see about 10 people playing with a little cloth. What, you had a little sewing thing today or something? Oh, those are your textbooks covers. Okay. So I see Marcus playing with his like 90 times, and I got Anthony up here. All right. Let's FOIL this out. If I FOIL this out, I'll get x squared plus 3x plus 1x plus 3. Is that right? Or in lowest terms, x squared plus 4x plus 3. Right? Is that okay, Sammy? Yeah. So using the legend that you have to help you translate this, which of those is a picture of x squared plus 4x plus 3? D, let's see. Here's an x squared, right? Here's an x, here's an x, here's an x, here's an x. By the way, can you see x plus 1 times x plus 3? D. Number 39. How do I do a cube of a binomial? What's the first thing I have to do before I start doing anything else? Write them all out. This is x minus 4, x minus 4, x minus 4. Right? Now what? Drop the first term down and ignore it for a second. Foil out the second 2. I usually go to a square bracket to make it stand out. You'll get an x squared. You'll get a negative 4x and another negative 4x. I think you'll get a minus 8x. Right? And you'll get a negative 4 times a negative 4. Positive 16. Now what? Everything in the front times everything in the back. So I'm going to go like this. Times, times, times. I'll get x cubed minus 8x squareds plus 16x's. And then, Anthony, I'm going to go times, times, times. I'll get minus 4x squared. I'll get positive 32x. I'll get minus 48. No, minus 64. Now what? No. If this wasn't multiple choice, yes. But can I not tell you what the correct answer is right now? What can't it be? Can't be that, because I got all those x's, right? What's the last number that I have there, Kira, in my term? No, you know what? Mr. Dueck? Yeah? Does that mean as a shortcut, I could have just cubed that last number in the binomial and kind of clued in that D was wrong because I knew if I foiled out, I'd get a bunch of middle terms and then just, I guess. Anyways. You could gather like terms and that'd be perfectly fine, but have I tried to teach you, Ashley, to cross out wrong answers as you go along? That's a good skill. All right. It says this. Katie simplified the expression x plus b times x plus c, where, what the heck does that say?
B and C are smaller than 0.
What numbers are smaller than 0? You know, this is really saying B and C are negative. What must be true? You know what? Let's make up some negative numbers. How about some nice ones? -2 and -3. I try not to use ones because ones sometimes things cancel and I didn't mean them to cancel. I'm going to say, you know what? An example of this would be x minus 2, x minus 3. Foil that out. Go. Do you get x squared minus 5x plus 6? Okay. Now, it says that this is supposed to match that. I guess G is -5, and I guess K is +6. And the question asks, what must be true about G and K? Well, what do you notice about the number sitting where the G is? It's negative, which means C and D are wrong, because C and D are saying that G was greater than 0. What do you notice about the number we got where K is?
Positive.
Will that always be the case? If you foil a binomial with two negative numbers in it, will you always get a negative in the middle and a positive at the end? I think so, because the positive at the end comes from a negative times a negative, and the negative in the middle comes from a negative plus a negative. Yeah, I agree with that. 41, factor. What's the first thing that I always always look for greatest common factor. Is there one? Nope. Now what? Count how many terms there are. You know what? There's only one thing you guys know how to do with two terms. That was called difference of squares. Is there a minus sign?
Yes.
Is the first term a perfect square? Is the second term a perfect square? Then how does that factor? What's the correct answer? A or B or C or D?
C.
D.
C.
C.
D? D would give you a y cubed.
C.
Y minus 9, y plus 9. Number 42. Which of the following expressions has a factor of x plus 2? I guess we're going to have to factor each one of these, although I think we can do some of these in our heads, sort of. I'm going to do the easiest one first, the third one. Because how am I going to factor that third one? Factor out of 5. This is going to be 5 bracket x plus 2. A is wrong. What about this one? GCF? No. How many terms are there? Minus sign?
Yes.
Perfect square, perfect square? Ah, what's this factor into? X minus 2, x plus 2, or x plus 2, x minus 2? Does that have a factor of x plus 2 in it? Okay. So I know B is wrong. It's not 3 only. Right now, it's either C or D. The new ones this year were question 2. GCF? No. Is there something in front of the squared? A 2. So here's what we said. This is one we're going to write out because this was new this year. We said you're looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 20. Do you see where the negative 20 came from? And add to negative 1. Do you see where the negative 1 came from? Right? We were using those to get the multiply and that to get the add. What are two numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add to negative 1?
4 and 5.
Which one's positive? Which one's negative?
Negative 5.
So here's what we said. We're going to decompose. We drop down the 2x squared. We drop down the negative 10. We decompose that middle term, that negative x, into negative 5x, positive 4x. Now what? Factoring by grouping, not groping, Anthony, grouping. Remember that dumb joke too. What did we do? We covered up the last two terms in our head. GCF out of the first two terms. And we get a 2x minus 5 left behind. Cover up the first two terms in our heads. GCF out of the last two terms.
2.
Positive 2, and I get a 2x minus 5. When we factored this, what was our final answer? We said one of the factors was the identical bracket, and that was our built-in error check. The brackets had to be identical. What was the second factor?
X plus 2.
Then you know what? That x plus 2 showed up in all of them. Number 43. I know, it's been talking along. 10 minutes, butch through. 43. Given that the area of the rectangle below is that there, find the length. How do I find the area of a rectangle? Yeah. You know what they're really saying here, by the way? take that area and factor it. Take that area and factor it. Because that'll give you something times something. That'll give you a length times a width. GCF? How many terms? Something in front of the squared. This is the new grade 10 ones. We start out writing down the product, the term. We say we're looking for two numbers that multiply to what? Negative 10. And add to what? Positive 9. What are two numbers that multiply to negative 10 and add to positive 9?
1 and 10.
Which one's which? Which?
Positive 10, negative 1.
We're going to decompose. We're going to decompose that 9x. So we drop down the 2x squared. We drop down the negative 5. But we decompose that 9x into positive 10x minus 1x. It's still a 9x. Just made it look different. I decomposed it. Cover up the last two terms. GCF out of the first two. 2x bracket x plus 5. GCF out of the last two. There isn't one. Well, you can always use a 1. Or, in this case, I don't want a 1. Negative 1, because that gives me an x plus 5, our built-in error check. We wanted the brackets to be positive. Darian, final answer.
X plus 5.
So what is the length of this rectangle? 2x minus 1, because apparently a length of 2x minus 1 times a width of x plus 5 equals that area. Number 44, as an estimation strategy, what could be best used to approximate 1 centimeter? All of you right now, hold your hand, your thumb and your forefinger 1 centimeter apart, roughly. Okay, you all know what 1 centimeter is? Which of those is the best estimation? See? There's a fancy word for that. We call that a referent. As an example, a referent for 1 meter is about the length of 1 stride-ish. The referent for 1 foot, there's a reason it's called a foot. It's about the length of 1 foot, roughly. Referent for a centimeter, my pinky's about a centimeter across. Reading a Vernier caliper, which we haven't done because I don't have the equipment and I didn't have time to fit this into the measurement unit. So I'm going to teach it to you on the fly. Okay? Sarah needs to replace the exhaust pipe on her dirt bike, it says. She uses a Vernier caliper to find the diameter of the pipe. Now, how on earth do you read this here thing here? Anybody use a Vernier caliper before? You know what? Pardon me?
Just read across.
No, actually, it's trickier than that. I'm going to find an app simulation, and I'll do this one. Put a star next to it. We'll do this one on Monday. Turn the page, or keep going. 46. They were asked to convert 5 pounds, 4 ounces to a metric weight. Which of these is correct? Let's see. Step 1, Stan said, I'm looking at all my conversion factors. Where are they here, Mr. Dueck? I got to flip my, oh, no, there they are. 4 ounces. Where is ounces? And we're doing weights, Mr. Dueck? 4 ounces is the 16 ounces, same as 1 pound. Is this correct?
No.
What's wrong with it?
We went from ounces to pounds.
But is that a good conversion factor? So here's what he's doing. He's saying, I got two measurements here. So he's saying, I'll convert this to pounds, and then I'll go pounds to kilograms. I can't do two units at the same time. I think this is correct. I think 4 ounces is a quarter pound. And so that means 5 pounds, 4 ounces is the same as 5.25 pounds. Now, did he do this conversion correct? Let's go see kilograms and pounds. Kilograms, 1 pound, and I want pounds on the bottom, is 0.454 kilograms. Now I just got to double check the math. I think the math, I think I'm okay with that. Let me double check. Yep. Now let's go check Aaron. Aaron looks like is going to grams. So they went 5 pounds times 16 ounces per pound is 80 ounces. That's correct. And then they said, I've got a conversion factor that relates ounces to grams. I want ounces. Is 1 ounce the same as 28.35 grams? Yes, it is. Do you get, when you go 84 times 28.35, do you get 2,384? Yep. You know what? I think is the answer C? I hope it is. I think I'm good with both of those. And the reason that this one was tricky is you had pounds and ounces as your measurement.
Yeah, 46 is C.
Okay. Which of the following shapes has a volume 3 times larger than the pyramid below? Remember, we said that a pyramid was 1/3 of the box that it came from. So find a box that has the same height and the same base area, but is a box. You know what? A is 3 times bigger than that pyramid. That's why your pyramid equations for volume all have a divided by 3. We'll finish off with, I think, number 48. A cylinder has a surface area of 402. The height is 3 times greater than the radius. What's the height of the cylinder? What shape are we talking about here?
Cylinder.
Find it. What measurement are we talking about here? Volume or surface area? What's the equation?
2 pi r squared plus
2 pi r squared equals 2 pi r 8.
What is the surface area here? They told me. What is it? 402 equals 2 pi. Do I know the radius? No. R squared.
Don't you mean 402, not 400?
400, Mr. Dueck, thank you. Plus 2 pi. Do I know the radius? No. Do I know the height? 3 times greater than the radius. 3 R's. That's the height. 3 R's. 3 times bigger than the radius. This is going to be 402 equals 2 pi r squared plus 6 pi r squared. Now stop and see where I got that.
you went 2 times
2 times 3, there's the 6, and I went r times r, which is r squared. I just kept the pi. You know what? Do you know what 2 pi r squared plus 6 pi r squared is? They're like terms. Let's get the r by itself. How? I need to do something with that 8 pi. What's the 8 pi doing to the r mathematically? Multiplying. So how will I move it over?
Divided.
I'm going to get r squared equals 402 divided by 8 pi. How do I get rid of a squared? R is going to be the square root of 402 divided by 8 times pi. So I'm going to go like this. 402 divided by, bracket, 8 pi, square root of that. And I get 3.999, almost exactly, but not quite 4. That's the radius. It's not what they wanted me to find. What do they want me to find? The height. If I know the height, so if I know the radius, what's the height? What does the question say? 3 times bigger. What's 3 times 3.9999?
Almost 12.
We'll pick up with this next class.